like to call the meeting to order, the Election Commission meeting, and it is 1:34 on the 1st of June. The roll call, please.
Commission Chair Ireland.
Present.
Commission Vice Chair Lehman.
Here.
Commissioner Treadwell.
Here.
Commissioner Nelson.
Here.
Commissioner Torkelson.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you very much. Minutes of the previous meeting. Have we read them? Or shall I give you time to read them?
Yep.
You need time.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the minutes.
Thank you very much. Do you want to have a second?
I second.
Thank you very much. That all in favor?
Well, I was just going to comment before we vote.
Okay.
I see a lot of 5-0 decisions in here. I thought we had one split decision. That might have been a different meeting. Anyway, this indicates that we have good consensus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all approved? Please say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. New business? No, we haven't done the old business yet. Old business? Do we have any old business to discuss? No old business. So we'll go on to the new business. A is meeting with the municipal attorney and municipal prosecutor with executive session. I guess that's what this is.
Do we want to change the? Would you be interested in changing the order of the day and taking the commission photo? At this point, we have Ally here to take your photo. And
That's Ally.
Hi, yeah, if that all sounds good to you all, this should be pretty easy. I'm just looking to take a photo of you all as a group. And I'd like to maybe get one sitting and then one standing. I like that you all have your name placards out. And then here shortly we can maybe transition and go up against a wall. Maybe the blinds.
So Ally is our communication expert, but I would like to make sure for the minutes that we do have a motion to change the order of the day and approval, if the commission wouldn't mind, please.
I so move that we change the order of the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Great. And I'll just take the moment to briefly introduce myself. My name is Ally Hartman, and for the regular municipal election in the spring, I was on contract to support election communications. So thank you to those of you that helped contribute to that effort, and I'm happy to report that following the election, I was interviewed and hired on to the Anchorage Assembly Legislative Services team as a communications coordinator. So in my role, I'll now continue to support elections communications and this amazing team. So, I think that today we have an exciting first step to introduce myself to you all, let you know that I'm here to support and amplify your voice as a great part of the leadership behind our local elections. And I look forward to continuing to working with you. I know Mead and I are working on scheduling a time for the Mike Picaro show as it relates to the special election, and then looking forward to the next regular election in the spring. So Anyway, I will just take a couple of quick photos to give us some options. You all are looking
Stand with us.
commission themselves. Amazing. I'm gonna just kind of lean in this way like this. Oh, that looks great. Awesome. And then let's reposition you all. I'd like to get a standing photo as well. And
There's a blue wall back there.
I like this blue wall. Yeah, I think you might be able to manage that. Yeah, I like that. That's one less thing.
I might not cover the
Perfect, thank you. Great. Yep, so we'll just need, let's have one of you stand right in front of the drinking fountain so that your legs kind of cover it as well. Nice. And then,
Chair should.
excellent, great. And can I have you two switch so that there's a little bit of balance? Perfect. Okay, now move over here. Oh, that looks so great. Awesome. So I'm going to get a couple of these here. Great. And then we might do one more. And let's see how we switch this around. I want to maybe get us facing more towards this corner so that I can get this, I can crop this door out. So if we could have everybody just scooch down like 3 steps. Yes, great, great, great. Perfect. Oh, that'll work really well. Awesome. Say cheese. Oh, that's a winner. Okay, great. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate your time.
If I want to tribute the grandchildren, we usually have 6
Maybe Barbara, did you want me to stick
cooperating and
around?
2 doing something weird.
I don't think
Sounds
I
like
can
you're moving right into
Do you want me to
it.
text you when we get back to the conclusion of claim?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Ellie.
Yeah, see you soon.
We go back to here unless,
Yeah, we'll
Did
call
we wanna
her.
do the communication
We'll call her
plan?
back. We don't want to keep them waiting, so we'll go
so
on. Yeah.
that'll take a while. The other one, okay. Go back there.
Madam Chair, I move we go into executive session for discussion with the municipal attorney and the municipal prosecutor.
Thank you very much, Reed. I move.
So,
I second, sorry.
So before you vote on the motion in a second, we'd like to lay a foundation. Could you help us do that? Mr. Burke?
So under Title 4, Title 4, Chapter 5, Section 90 and 100, the commission may go into executive session for one of 3 reasons. If any matters to be discussed, the immediate knowledge of which would have an adverse effect on the finances of the government unit. Number 2 are subjects that tend to prejudice the reputation and character of any person, provided the person may request a public discussion. And number 3, matters which by law, municipal charter or ordinance are required to be confidential. And so the foundation would have to be laid. I'm not aware of why we would go into executive session, but I think you could put the reasons for doing so on the record.
I would say probably 2 and 3 would cover it from our perspective. Has to do with voting issues.
And specific named voters,
Right.
and we have materials that we're going to pass out, so that should not be public.
Yet.
All right, so can we move?
So you can say without objection, the motion passes.
Yeah.
ask for his next.
Any objection from anyone? So it passes without objection. Thank you very much.
You are out of executive session.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, to the extent that this is legal, I move that the election materials be considered in the executive session that are relevant to any investigation that may succeed this executive session by the city attorney or city prosecutors, that those materials be shared with them so that they can take that material with them. And that material will remain confidential.
Is there a second to that motion?
Is that a motion?
Does that include with our recommendation for action for
Yes.
for certain issues? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think what the minutes should show is that we had a discussion, we showed materials, because there may be law enforcement sensitivity, the materials are transferred your direction, and that we've done our job of referring questions to law enforcement. Anyway, the main thing is, I don't want you guys to leave empty-handed.
I will say that, and I can take a closer look at this, but generally speaking, all materials discussed or used in executive session remain in executive session.
Right, yes.
I think in this situation, that the materials were shared with the municipal attorney's office and the municipal prosecutor's office for law enforcement purposes. I suspect we can take these back to our office. It won't be shared outside of our office. It remains confidential.
That's why I was doing a motion to give them to you.
Yep.
Is there a second? Did you second it? Or I can second if you did.
Okay.
I'll second.
So, okay, are we all in favor then?
All right.
Thank you then, that motion carries. A communications plan, Barbara?
So Ally had to leave at 3, so we won't be able to have her come back. But we have it kind of goes back to the March meeting when we started talking about education and outreach. Ally prepared several social media themes, I guess, for outreach and education on elections. We have ideas for several more, one being a day in the life of the ballot. Mr. Treadwell had suggested going on the Mike Picaro show, and we're currently trying to set that up at this time. And so I think we'll just keep you informed as, you know, we had our consistent press releases, and so we will continue to keep you informed as to what we're doing with our outreach and education.
Thank you very much.
We're excited. We think that having the commission participate in outreach and education and talk to the public about municipal elections is going to be very positive for the rest of 2022 and 2023.
Thank you, Barbara. Are there any other comments from the commission? No public comments.
I have a member.
Okay. Me.
Madam Chair, in the special election downtown that's being held now, one candidate, I helped build his business partnership. One candidate worked for me, and one candidate had a fundraiser at my house for a different race before I was on the commission. And for that reason, I feel I should. Well, first off, I want to declare a potential conflict, even though I don't believe I have a conflict. I also have a personal conflict during part of the voting session, in that my mother's funeral is happening at the same time, so I'm going to be out of state. And I communicated that to Jamie as we're setting the times, and I got no answer on that. So
When is that going to be made?
So I'm out with family for her burial and a number of things, leaving the 29th of June and returning the 12th of July. So-
Madam Chair, I can pull up the conflict of interest provisions if you would like to take a look at those. I think that the question is, does Mr. Treadwell has made the disclosure, which he's required to do, and then the question for the commission, and the commission votes on whether or not there is a substantial personal or a substantial financial interest. And if you'd like to, I can get you the questions from the ethics code, or if Mr. Treadwell wants to ask to be recused from that public session of canvas, he could just ask to be recused because of his personal
Yeah,
interest.
what I'd like to do, I mean, frankly, I have the faintest idea who I would vote for. They're all great people, but the ones that I know. But I asked to be excused from the canvas session in late June, early July. I guess it was July 10th.
July 8th.
July 8th, which I asked. And I'm not sure why I never got an answer back when you were asking for dates when work did.
I
because
apologize,
I told
that's
you it
probably
wouldn't
my
work.
fault.
Okay, I told you it wouldn't work. I told you I could come home the 12th,
Okay.
but I asked to be excused from that canvas session on the 8th, and then I would just make the declaration that I, as many of us do, I have not done anything in favor of any of those campaigns. I've been asked by those three plus one other to give them support, and I reminded them I'm on the commission and said, no, I can't have anything to do with your race. So, but I just want to disclose that I was approached by at least 4 candidates to provide support in this race, and I turned it down.
So, Libby, typically what happens is that there's questions in the ethics code, and the chair would read those questions. Is the personal financial interest substantial? Is it different than what a normal person would possess? But I think it's unnecessary to do that, because I think, if I understand you correctly, Mr. Treadwell, you're asking to be excused.
I'm asking to be
Okay.
excused. And if you need it, you have a way to vote it down. I mean, the only one, I don't know. One of them is my eye doctor. That's whatever, but I also help put him in business, but I don't have any financial relationship with him. But anyway, I'm just disclosing that.
Thank you very much. So the chair can make a ruling on granting Mr. Treadwell's request to be excused, or if you want to go through the disclosure, we can do that. So it's up to the commission. What would we like to do?
We need to ask a series of questions. I don't. We're not discussing whether somebody gets elected or not. We're discussing whether there's a signature match.
Right.
I can't hear you,
Oh,
and we won't be able to hear you on the
Sorry.
record.
I don't think that we need to ask a series of questions because we're not determining who gets elected. We're determining if there was a signature match by Joe Smith or Mary Smith or, all the things that we just did. So see how that would be accomplished. But he's
So
also
I think that's why you want to focus on his request is to be excused. I would let you know that because you have observers that may bring those signature adjudication challenges, he probably does have a personal conflict of interest. But be that as it may, I think you can solve this by just addressing the request to be excused.
Madam Chair, let me just say this. I disclose the fact that I have a personal relationship with 3 candidates, none of which I believe has a conflict of interest that would prevent me from acting impartially. And frankly, in the last election that we just did, I think I knew almost all the candidates. So, I believe I acted impartially. I am asking for a personal, or I'm asking to be excused from the July 8th canvassing meeting because of my mother's funeral, which I had notified the elections office about before and didn't get an answer.
All right, so we need to vote on that.
No,
Is
you
it-
can make a ruling to excuse him.
Yeah, I think that we're fine with that. Thank you for bringing that to us.
We still have one spare.
We still have a spare, yeah.
Yeah, sure. And Madam Chair, my other question is this, and this is just simply a request. The mayor sent a letter, I believe, to the clerk and an information request. The Daily News did a editorial saying, "Gee, that was dumb," and I actually would like to ask that the commission at some point review the response to the request, reserving ourselves the option to also answer the mayor. And it's not, and frankly, I mean, Barbara, I'm trying to figure out how to say this properly. The problem is not anything that you guys did. We stated our opinion very well in our report to the Assembly. But the problem is that audits happen long after, certification happens, and I don't know how they can happen. Or, I don't think it was a bad thing for the mayor to ask about, and I'd like us to review your response. Not to change your response, but I think it would be good to review your response. So that's my request.
Through the chair, I don't think that it will be possible because we would like to post a partial response as soon as possible. And so we don't have a commission meeting set up. You have to meet, I guess we could probably do a telephonic or a Teams meeting, but it would be a public meeting.
Sure.
I'm not positive that we could go into executive session. And so it would be difficult for you to review the response and give us feedback on it. It would to some degree defeat the purpose of the response. However, I think that it does make sense for us to discuss the letter if you would like to do that at a future meeting. I don't know, we can send out a request to you all and find out the dates that you're available and have set up a meeting to follow up on that.
Okay, well, I mean, just questions. The mayor called for a technical litmus test, a forensic audit of the election technology to be paid for by the mayor's office. Is that going to happen or not happen? Or?
I don't know, and I'm not prepared to answer that. This is on the record, and I'm not prepared to answer that. As I mentioned before, I've sought legal counsel on this, and the municipal attorney's office Mr. Burke is representing us, and so I want to run my response by him before I say that. So,
Well, I believe it's within our authority to also weigh in on the questions, and I guess I just want to make sure that we had a discussion of that. I'm going to speak frankly on the record. I don't believe anything untoward happened in this election. I think that we weren't given any statistical thing that said that Sand Lake was a major mailing problem. There were some eligible things. The statistics, I think, will show that the voter turnout there was fairly significant, or not out of whack. Frankly, it's the appearance of having the guy work on the server during the election count as opposed to whatever the guy did on the server that was the problem. And I think in terms of raising trust in the elections, it's that and the camera being turned off. I just think as part of our after-action report on this election, we ought to try to figure out what the procedure was and make some recommendations, because that's all we can do is make recommendations. And I don't see any evidence of intent to change election results or anything else like that. We're in a situation where you've got people watching you like a hawk, and the hawks have two big questions, and one of them may be solved by a forensic look at the machines, and so based on what I know, I think that's probably a good idea, and I just think that the commission should be aware of what's going on and review what's going on. So that's where I'm coming from.
So I would like to propose through the chair that the staff would be happy to sit down with the commission and talk to the commission more about, I would argue that it's a perception of a problem regarding the vendor that was here. There was no problem. And yes, the cameras being turned off were a technical issue. We didn't have the right IT support and the right technology early on in the election, but it was fixed, pretty quick. But yeah, we would be happy to talk to you about that. So Jamie and I will shoot you all an email, and we can pick a date and time that you're all available, and we'll double check the code and make sure that we can do it electronically. That would be nice, instead of having to come back and meet in person. And I will probably invite Patrick Burt, and he can help us decide if any part of it needs to be an executive session.
Well, I had a mentor in politics who said the perception of a conflict is a conflict, and the perception of a problem is a problem. And I just think the best way to get to the bottom of that, in this case, is if there's a forensic audit on the computers that says that the only thing that happened inside the computer was XYZ, if you can even say that, then you're in the clear, and we're in the clear, and we'll say don't do that again without, or make sure that observers know what's going on when you do it. All I know is
I'm asking to
Yeah.
end this conversation, and I would like to discuss it with the commission as a whole at a meeting where this is scheduled to be discussed. If you wouldn't mind, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barbara. Good. I think then it's time to adjourn.
Well, I don't think everyone has had an opportunity for comments. Yeah.
Anyone else have comments?
No.
Well, I think I've said this before, that from my observations, you two and the people that support you, I thought, have done quite a masterful job at delivering an election. And I believe that it's a tough thing to do with a mail-out election. It's hard to deliver that, delivered honestly. And you have systems in place to do quite a spectacular job, in my opinion. I think it was sometime after that article, I did talk briefly with the mayor and express much of that, and he can speak for himself, but my impression is that he believes that as I do. That and so.
I'm not sure I understood. Meade believes as you do, or
The mayor.
No, I said the mayor. After that article was published, I saw him in some public forum, and I think he probably had read the statement that we passed, that we were somewhat concerned about the report about some voters not getting their ballots. And I said, if it's true, if that is true, that is a concern. As it turns out, I don't know that I want to say it's not true. I think it probably is true that some people didn't get their ballots. Now, why that happened, I don't know. If somebody came along and robbed mailboxes, that's possible. Then that's, there may be pockets of that. I'm just saying that after that article, as I just spoke very briefly with the mayor and said that my perspective, I had confidence in how the election was delivered.
Thank you.
I'm not endorsing a continuation of that, but since we have it, I am endorsing delivering it very capably. So,
And I think that's what we all said in our report to the Assembly.
yes,
Yeah.
that is.
And I stand with you, and I believe the rest of the commission on that. So, but anyway, I'm not trying to stir something up here. I'm just saying, you know, it may be. I had a situation where I became lieutenant governor, and there had been a write-in that elected the U.S. senator, and there was a huge set of allegations made about the election, which I hadn't run, but then I was now responsible for, right? Because of to answer those huge sets of arguments, most of which had no substance to them, we did do a forensic audit, and we did look very, very carefully at the way the election machines worked. We looked at other trapdoors. We reiterated a policy that kept those machines off the internet and so forth, and looked at a few imperfections and made some changes. And I don't think that hurts. That's my advice that I'm stating here in public. When the mayor asked for that, that's reasonable advice, in my opinion. And I think the odds are probably greater than 95% that they'll find that there's no problem whatsoever, but we may get some reasonable suggestions that can help us all. I've now stated my opinion on this subject in commissioner comments, and I'll be silent and hope you take our advice.
I would like to follow up with you and find out who conducted the forensic audit for the state at that time. That would be interesting to find out.
Not sure we got the best one, but I'll tell you.
If we are going to go on with member comments, we need to extend the meeting again. We extended to 3 o'clock, and it's now 3:17.
I'll move to extend for up to 10 minutes.
Is there a second?
I said.
Lisa seconds. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
And I'll just say, and I think, I'm sure I've said it before, there are just a few minor things that I think can be done or can be avoided that cause some people to question election integrity. And, for example, letting people look at the drop boxes before they go out to confirm that they're empty. Okay? To me, they're all in one place. Open them up, look at them. I mean, we did the same thing when they came back. They're empty. I look, they're empty. Okay? I expected them to be empty. I'd be shocked if they weren't. But it just seems like little things like, and then the technician coming in, if that had been advised and say, this is what is going to happen, and tell people ahead of time, it may have avoided that. I don't know. It's just things like that seems like we could probably avoid some of the criticism that gets leveled. Anyway.
I think we would be more than happy to talk about those things, and I've noted them for your after-action report. By the way, the drop boxes were all out. They were all deployed before we got the request, so it was a little bit problematic. And also,
it's a good answer.
we met until 12:15 a.m. at your meeting on April 18th. And the meeting was scheduled with the technician the next morning at 9 o'clock a.m. You know, not only were staff extremely tired, but so were the observers. And I think that's part of the problem. The technician was in Anchorage to service the state of Alaska machines, which is why they generously offered to come and help us with a problem that we were having. And we don't announce when our janitors are in the building. We do not announce when our project manager is in the building. We have other vendors that are in the building, and those are not announced. I do agree with you that we could have done a better job explaining what happened at the time to the observers, but I'm letting you know, we had all worked until, you adjourned at 12:10 a.m. We were there until 12:40 a.m. And it's really hard when people are tired, exhausted, stressed, and they were there to produce a productive work product. And I think that's contributed to the problem when the vendor was at the election center.
Well, I just want you to know, just because something has the name Dominion on it or Diebold from before, I don't look at that and question the integrity of it. Okay, some people do, and we're hearing that perhaps because in other jurisdictions there have been some unusual things that happened. I don't detect that has happened in Anchorage in our elections or in the state of Alaska in our elections. Whoever has helped deliver those over the past, I'd even say over the past 30 years, that where I've been either in office or past office, I haven't detected any of that having happened here, which I'm happy about.
Any other comments? No? So I guess we can call for an adjournment. And it is now 3:22.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you.
So,